What's up, Blazies? It's Casey Ariel, founder of Blaze Group and your host of Blaze Group Radio. I will be talking about the intersections of Black womanhood, entrepreneurship, news on the culture, and healing as we climb. I launched Blaze Group after spending a decade in corporate America structuring multi-billion-dollar loans for large tech firms, but never once working on a deal team with another Black woman. I left to take world-class knowledge to the streets. Blaze means building leaders and accepting zero excuses, and we go beyond the bare minimum. More than solutions, we create lifelines that help Black women become as limitless as they feel. Snuggle up to this episode. May it feel as safe and nourishing as Big Mama's house did. What's up, Blazies? It's Casey Ariel, founder of Blaze Group and your host of Blaze Group Radio. I will be talking about the intersections of Black womanhood, entrepreneurship, news on the culture, and healing as we climb. I launched Blaze Group after spending a decade in corporate America structuring multi-billion-dollar loans for large tech firms, but never once working on a deal team with another Black woman. I left to take world-class knowledge to the streets. Blaze means building leaders and accepting zero excuses, and we go beyond the bare minimum. More than solutions, we create lifelines that help Black women become as limitless as they feel. Snuggle up to this episode. May it feel as safe and nourishing as Big Mama's house did. What's up, family? We are back. It is September 12th, and man, has it been an interesting week. We had Shannon Sharp on IG Live accidentally doing the thing. We had the incomparable Kamala Harris debate that man. And yesterday, we heard official news of the Fearless Fund settling its lawsuit, the case being dismissed, and the grant program for Black women closing. But, what is important to state is that yesterday, Arian Simone, the co-founder and CEO of the Fearless Fund, gave a very important message, which I'm going to share with you today, that captures the context that so many of the major media outlets left out, right? And this is why it is important that we tell our own stories using terms that are relevant to us, okay? And examples that we resonate with, because they're going to always from the lens that just misses the point for marginalized folks, right? That they're not really nurtured or exposed to understand, right? And so let me start by sharing Arian's words about this case, okay? Because as so many outlets were saying, the Fearless Fund closes its grant program and the lawsuit is settled, she gave important context on why this is a victory, okay? And we need to hear words from her and share this story and amplify this message and understand what it means about the times that we're in. So Arian Simone said on her Instagram, "Sound the alarm and share. To God be the glory. It's been over a year of being in a federal court case, and now it's finally dismissed. A few things that need to be clarified. Number one, this is a win, capital W-I-N, and positive outcome for the Fearless Fund and our community." Look up. Number two, the U.S. Federal Court of Appeals stopped the Fearless Strivers Grant Program for Black women on June the 3rd, ruling suggesting we were in violation of the law. This program has not been operating since it entered the appeals court back in the appeals process back in September 2023, and it was at its conclusion of the grant program when the court case began in August 2023. It was designed to award 6 people in 1 year, and it was at its end when the case began. So what this is saying is, back in August of 2023, that's when they were initially sued. This was about 2 months before we issued our 2023 State of Black Women-Owned Businesses report, where we outlined what had taken place, right? This came on the heels of a man called Edward Blum, okay, taking the case all the way to the Supreme Court to end affirmative action, right, in college admissions, right? And he won that case at the Supreme Court level, basically striking it down, affirmative action down at Harvard and the University of North Carolina. And then he went on to the Fearless Fund. Okay, strategic. All right, he was playing chess. But Arian is going to explain here how she too is playing chess. So she's saying the program, yes, they're closing it. Okay, the grant program, but it was already coming to a close in August of 2023. That this program was only awarding 6 entrepreneurs per year, Black women, but 6 per year, right? And they hadn't been issuing any of these grants since this began, right? Since these legal proceedings began. All right, she says in number 3, we strategically avoided a Supreme Court ruling. The deadline to appeal our appeal has passed because a ruling not in our favor at the Supreme Court would have ended minority-based funding across the country, and that would not be wise. We have already seen the Supreme Court ruling for the colleges end affirmative action for all colleges and schools and admissions, right? So this is chess for her. She did not want it to make it to the Supreme Court level. She settled before it got to that place on purpose, because she knew that Edward Blum would try to use it as precedent, right? And she will go on to tell you why. Number 4, she says, elections have consequences. We have had 3 federal rulings in this process where 4 Trump-appointed judges ruled against us. 2 Clinton and 1 Obama-appointed judges ruled for us. So it's 4-3, right? 3 in their favor, 2 from Clinton and 1 from Obama, but 4 from Trump. She said, the writing is on the wall of who wants this work to continue and who does not. Be sure to vote November the 5th. So our vote has power. We are the battleground for democracy. Make sure you, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, all of them, vote alongside you on November the 5th so that we can get people in office who support us being funded as Black women, right? Number 5, she says, this work is important because the statistics for the underfunded are overwhelming, and this is why we have invested millions of dollars and awarded grants to over 500. Number 6, any false narrative floating that anyone is claiming we are not moving forward at the Fearless Fund is not true. What is true is that we are proud to announce our new $200 million debt fund for under-resourced entrepreneurs, male and female. So we are reimagining what this work looks like for them, right? So we're starting a $200 million debt fund for men and women who are under-resourced. And then finally, number 7, she says, the one grant program that the U.S. Appeals Court stopped, okay, this is the Strivers Grant Program, is funding 6 entrepreneurs per year. This new program will touch over 3,000 entrepreneurs. That sounds like a win to me. Yes. You heard it from Arian herself, right? Because many of these publications that were sent to iPhones, right, don't have this spin, but this was all strategic. She's very happy about this, and I definitely would be remiss if I didn't share what the former CEO of the Fearless Fund, Ayanna Parsons, said as well. She's also a co-founder. She said, while the Fearless Fund versus American Alliance for Equal Rights, okay, so American Alliance for Equal Rights is the nonprofit organization that Edward Blum started. He founded it. That's the same man that went and stopped affirmative action, essentially at the Supreme Court level, and who sued the Fearless Fund. She said, while the Fearless Fund versus the American Alliance for Equal Rights case may have ended, the fight is far from over. I hope what this case showed the world is that you actually can mobilize the masses and stand for what's right, that you can be the change you want to see in the world. We need thousands more funds that support marginalized and underrepresented founders. We need thousands more corporate leaders of color to hold board and CEO seats. We need to forge ahead in closing the wealth gap now, more than ever, because money, and lots of it, is what it's going to take to eliminate the disparities that exist across all facets of life for marginalized people. I love Ayana. She is no longer the COO of the Fearless Fund, but she is living offshore with her husband in a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful residence and piece of land, really enjoying, right, the fruits of her labor in this lifetime, right? And I am one who aspires to the same thing. I actually did do it. Okay. I started my career in banking and I did the things, right? I got married, I built a house, I was climbing through the ranks, made really good money, right? Made really big impact too, right? On the industries that I work in, with finance, tech, power and utilities, as well as inside of the company, right? Really speaking up and mobilizing change for folks that look like me. But I left. I left corporate. I moved abroad. I lived in Cape Town, South Africa for a year. I lived in Nairobi, Kenya, for 3 years, about 2.5 years. A piece of that, I actually came here to raise money for Blaze Group and got married, and we decided to stay, and we settled in Huntsville now, but the work continues. And I agree with Ayana, right? What you see today, and this is not just for Blaze, this is for any company that has chosen to stay in the game for the long haul, which we have, right? These are steps along a journey for us at Blaze to connect wealth holders with wealth movers, right? These Black women entrepreneurs who are building and cultivating and spiritually pulling something out of their heart and their bodies and their minds to make it a tangible revenue generating entity, right? Are wealth holders, right? And I have a responsibility in this lifetime to connect them with wealth movers, right? To make that process of cash moving back and forth more fluid and removing the friction, making sure that there's a level of trust that is real, right? Having folk that look like me on both sides because I did not see any of me outside of myself where I was, right? Making sure that the understanding of the real needs, right? The real motivations, the real things that keep us up at night are understood on both sides so that we make solutions that feel like home, right? That is the work that we are doing in this lifetime, right? Blaze absolutely will have a fund. We will absolutely, group is not in the name for no reason, right? But I have chosen, and I say this on purpose so that you heal your relationship with time. I have chosen to move at a pace that is sustainable and keeps me nourished and keep the folk that I show up for nourished, to learn what I need to learn intimately about the Black women that I am called to serve, to teach other folk outside of myself the frameworks that have allowed me to design solutions in sub-Saharan Africa across 3 different countries that help folk who don't even have bank accounts repay not just everything they owed on a $40,000 tractor, but 107% of what they owe, right? They pay it down faster and own the asset faster and have collateral to grow their fleet with more tractors, right? Those are principles and beliefs and approaches and patience and understanding and turning what you hear into a solution, into a feature of a product, of a loan, right? These are the things that we are doing along this journey of making sure we connect wealth holders with wealth movers, right? And I am going at a pace that does not break me. But the group, in Blaze Group, is there for a reason, right? I stand with many And what I'm talking about is in the future, but I see it right now. I stand with many. For those who don't know, I've been writing a curriculum and a book since February of this year. So I'm about 7 months into that journey. I'm publishing an educational textbook that can be used by colleges and policymakers and banking institutions, especially, right, to uh, follow proven frameworks and methodologies and approaches, right, to make capital more equitable, more accessible, to make finance more equitable, more accessible, right? And we're talking about cash moving, millions and billions and trillions of dollars that are moving with this mindset, right? We'll be training consultants, right? Because one case ain't enough. That was never the goal. That's not the mission I'm on, right? Training consultants to be able to deploy these solutions and this knowledge and disseminate, right, this type of training in the same way that I would do it, right? That's next summer, and a fund to be built, right, that applies a lot of this knowledge and these practices and these methodologies in real life to disseminate more and more capital through Blaze Group, right? All of this is coming, and I am moving, okay? I am moving at a pace that is sustainable and that keeps me nourished, right? And you should do the same. Venture capital, I must say this, venture capital, we hear about it a lot more lately, right? Especially as venture capital dollars have funded tech companies that we're familiar with now, like Uber and Pinterest and Airbnb, right? And yes, it is true. It is true. Phyllis Funness said this a lot, and it is true that less than 1% of venture capital dollars goes to Black women. Well under 1%. Less than 1/3 of 1% goes to Black women. And I also need you to understand that not all companies need venture capital dollars, because if you are not willing or trying or intending to grow at a hyper scale pace, at a hyper rate, right? 300, 400% revenue increase year over year, then venture capital dollars are not for you. They want to invest in companies that in 7 years or less are going to either IPO, meaning selling stocks on the New York Stock Exchange, or some other Dow, whatever, right? Probably would be the Dow, right? But where you're selling parts of your company to the public to buy, so they get millions of dollars back. Or if you're not trying to exit in 7 years or less, where somebody with a whole lot of cash, some big company, right, with a whole lot of cash buys you to absorb your company into theirs, and you get a lot of money and they get millions of dollars, right? If you're not trying to do those two things, then venture capital dollars are not for you anyway, right? We see tech companies do this a lot because it's easier for them to grow. Maybe it's health tech, maybe it's climate tech, right? Maybe it's ag tech, right? But there are companies that exist that intend to be localized in neighborhoods and not span super fast outside, right? To have an intimacy and be a cornerstone for communities, and to hold on to their lands, that they show up in city council meetings and say, no, you're not about to bulldoze this down. We got plans for this, right? Folk who actually have a 30-year vision, not a 7-year exit strategy. And either it's fine. What I'm telling you is that it is okay to hold on to that dream, right? And to protect that and go at the pace, right, that sustains that, because it is important. There are other sources of capital, such as bank funding, where banks don't care about you growing 400% year over year. They just want you to generate cash flow to pay them back. They just want you to have revenue, right? They don't want ownership stake in your company. They just want you to make the minimum monthly payment. Right, that's an option. You just heard that Arian is launching a $200 million debt fund, right? VC capital does not fit every profile. And what is dangerous is when companies and founders feel pressured to give up the sustainable pacing and the ethical treatment of their clients and users, right? To give up the vision they have for their company so that they grow to some unrecognizable size to appease folk who want to make money back and really don't intend on protecting or preserving the quality and experience and impact that has been created. right? So just understand that there are crowdfunding platforms where the people can, the power of the people, right, can back your dreams, right? That is actually what GoFundMe was started for, okay? GoFundMe was created to support small businesses, like entrepreneurs that needed to, get some early capital from friends and family and make it easy to raise your friends and family. And we've seen what that has evolved into as we, use it to support funeral expenses for our family members and little softball league, expenses for our little cousins, right? There are grants, right? There are angel investors who are just like, yeah, I got some extra money. I just retired and, I want to make a little retirement, whatever, right? There's so many options. Revenue is one. That's a big one. That's my favorite one, where you literally just figure out how to make the money, right? You fund the business yourself. MailChimp. Many entrepreneurs are familiar with MailChimp, but I think it was about 20 years. 20 years, the founders ran a consulting business on the side. Very different from MailChimp, okay? Like, had nothing to do with MailChimp, but they entirely bootstrapped their company for 20 years. I believe it was 20 years, and they sold it to Intuit recently, and made a couple billion, right? And that was just their money, right? So yeah, so many options, y'all. So heal your relationship with time and decide from the beginning how you want to end. Decide from the beginning how you want to end. And it is if it is a 30-year vision you have, where you are teaching your children how to protect the assets that you've created, right? You're ensuring that, somebody goes to get the finance degree to be able to run the finances, and somebody goes to get the biology degree to be able to make the elixirs, the formula, the mixes, right? Make whatever you're bottling up and selling, or somebody goes and get the operations degree, right, to be able to run the systems and the supply chain management. Do that, right? If you want to have a 30-year vision with a 300-year impact on your community, right? We are holding on to the land, and sometimes some parts of the year y'all selling lumber, right? Monetizing that, right? Where, certain parts of the property are employing teenagers from the neighborhood, right? Where no matter what's happening on out there, because you've held on to it, and 3 generations down, because they know how to hold on to it, because you've educated them on holding on to it and what to do when folks show up and try to buy it for little to nothing, to extract from communities, right? They know what to do with it because you've educated them around it, right? And that's what Blaze is for. We are a financial education and consulting house, right? This is not about just kicking in. That happens, right? But like this space, this place is about building your muscle around finance so that you see more opportunities than you were able to a year ago. So that when problems arise, you already know what levers to pull, right? So that when you look at your financial statements, you see stories. It's like, okay, like my expenses used to take up 80% of my revenue. Now it's taking up 40%. And I got that much more liquidity to put into innovation, right? To put into buying property, to put into stocks, right? So that money that's sitting, instead of sitting in the bank account, is just growing. This is about education. And so join the Blaze Pro community, okay? Join the Blaze Pro membership on the Blaze Group app. B is doing some dope things these days. You can ask her to quiz you on any financial concept, and she'll make it fun. You will chuckle a lot at the way she quizzes you. But if it's about, B, I want you to quiz me on liquidity, right? I want you to quiz me on financial metrics. I want you to quiz me on understanding an income statement, whatever, right? It's available to you. Cash flow combos every single month. The next one is September the 26th. Pull up to that, right? Well, we just like this, but having like real intimate conversations about what's going on in the world. And when you think through how to be colder at generating revenue, how to protect your profits, right? How to be a more confident leader, right? As it relates to finance, because it makes you queasy today. And you want to get to that point, right? Where you feel very sure of your decision making. You're sure of your ability to navigate recessions and know that the company's still going to stand, because it's required in a 30-year vision, right? The Blaze Plus membership is available to folks as well, and that's a Blaze Plus mentorship right there, um, where you have one-on-one time with me every single month for 12 months, and there's thought partnership around things you're trying to tackle. We really align your strategic business goals, okay, with your financial strategies, right? Where you have help negotiating terms with banks, right? Understanding which products you need and which products you don't, right? Where I'm helping you identify what your target should be, right? Like what should be a reasonable expectation for sales? What should be a reasonable expectation for new clients? What should be a reasonable expectation for your ratios, right? All of that stuff, right? Uh, Blaze Plus mentorship is $500 off for Blaze Pro members. So anybody, everybody, I would tell you, download the Blaze Group app and enroll in Blaze Pro membership so that you get, okay, all of the value that Blaze is offering you, right? But this is for learners. Like this is for learners, and if you are committed to that, if you are interested in that, if you're willing to put in the exercise, the mental exercise, the physical, the emotional exercise that it takes to get cold in finance, this is home. And I want you to feel good stretching your arms out and your legs out here. Okay? Love and light to everyone. I will be back soon. Holla at me in the app. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to Blaze Group Radio. Remember, you have not yet met all of the people in your life who are going to love you. So keep going. Download the Blaze Group app for day-to-day support on your entrepreneurial journey. Until next time.